Yo, welcome back to another episode of Flat Black Podcast. I am your host, Emerg1. With me today, we have a special guest, Mr. Chad VH. Welcome, dog.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, yeah, man. Glad to have you, bro. Really close friend of mine. I'm really happy to have him here. Before we get started, actually, I want to first and foremost say thank you to Palm Springs Podcast Studio for hosting us once again. I do want to mention also, if anybody out here, or anywhere for that matter, is interested in hosting their own podcast in the studio here, this lovely studio, you're more than welcome to reach out to my boy Robert at Palm Springs Podcast Studio. Very highly recommended. Definitely. So, and another thing I wanted to also mention, I wanted to say thank you to our sponsors from Fungi Soul for sponsoring today's episode. If you guys are interested in delicious fungi gummies, feel free to reach out to them at fungisoul_brand. So yeah, let's get started. Thanks again, homie, for being here.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you, big dog.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to kind of bring you on to kind of get and I know a lot of people were curious about you because they see you on Instagram, obviously, making a lot of moves, taking a lot of dope shots. So here's your chance to kind of let people know a little bit about you, right? I wanted to kind of get a start on just your upbringing in general and a little bit about your background, just to get started. So if you don't mind.
Yeah, so I grew up, born and raised Palm Springs, California. Grew up with a bunch of crazy kids, on the street, skateboarding, getting into trouble at a young age. I guess typical hoodlum shit.
Hell yeah.
Grew up skateboarding,
Dope.
got into drugs at like 13, 14. Unfortunately, it is what it is.
It happens.
Yeah, and here we are.
Word up. Let me ask you, how did you know that you wanted, or what kind of got your interest in taking photography or just taking pictures in general? Like, when did you know that was something that you wanted to do?
Pretty late on
Okay.
in my life. I joined the Army when I was 18, right after high school, and then during that first deployment to Afghanistan, I had a little handheld video camera. And I was just taking little videos here and there, shit like that of gun firefights and stuff. And when I got back, and when I got out of the Army, I had no idea what I wanted to do. Right. And then eventually, I started making these videos with my grandma, like these YouTube videos of us smoking weed.
Oh shit! I didn't know that.
Yeah, she was
cool.
big stoner, but
Right on.
So I just made these little creative videos of us getting high.
That's tight.
Dumb shit. And then eventually, with that, I went to LA Film School.
Dope.
Started learning stuff there, but that school was mostly for Hollywood movies and stuff like that. And
Cinematography, things like that, right?
That's not really what I was into.
Okay.
I just wanted to make creative
Sure.
stuff. So during that time, I just got more into photography.
Yeah.
And brought that back to Palm Springs.
Dope.
Didn't know what I was gonna do with it.
Yeah.
And then somebody hired me to do social media managing.
Okay.
So I was basically just helping him grow his business. And,
Yeah.
with that, I just kept fucking doing free shit and eventually getting paid for it.
And when did you know that you were gonna make a living out of this, or something that you were gonna actually take serious? Or let me ask you this: when did you know that you had something that you said, you know what, I take pretty good pictures?
Probably 4 years into it.
Oh yeah.
4 or 5 years into it.
Wow. Okay.
Because in the beginning I wasn't okay. So I thought I was good to start with.
Sure.
So I was like, oh, people will hire me for sure. But looking back, my shit was not that good.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, it's good to have that confidence, though, right?
Yeah, I guess. But it's false confidence.
Sure.
So I was all getting butthurt because people weren't hiring me and stuff like that. But I think I was just trying too soon.
Okay.
And so eventually, I was like, all right, I'm not even gonna try anymore. I'm just gonna work on myself, work on my craft, get better, and people will reach out to me eventually.
Sure. Just like
And that's what
anything
happened.
else. Yeah. Dope. Let me ask you this. And then just out of curiosity, the videos or pictures that you took from the time that you were in Afghanistan, do you still have all that stuff?
Yeah, most of it. A lot of it
Yeah.
got deleted somehow. I think it was just like on old hard drives.
Okay.
Um,
Is
but
there
I,
some like gnarly stuff in there that you're like, oh shit, or was it just you hanging out with your boys? And...
not like crazy gnarly stuff,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
you know guts and
Right.
stuff like
Okay,
that. But there's
okay.
like gnarly firefights and IEDs,
Wow,
explosions.
dope. You ever thought about like doing something with that footage?
I had this on YouTube.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, shit, that's good to know. I'll definitely
Yeah,
check
there's
that
this
out.
one video I had to make for film school. It's like the subject was kind of speak over the video, like voice over the video,
Yeah.
explaining what the video is or whatever
Sure.
for this class. And I just made this video called "Don't Shoot My Friends,"
Okay.
and
Very,
it's basically like me speaking over these firefights and then my buddy getting shot in the shoulder.
Okay.
And so
on the
you-
video?
you can look that up on YouTube. It's called, just type in "Don't Shoot My Friends" and then my name Chad.
That is
Don't shoot my
amazing.
friends, Chad.
Yeah. Wow.
And then it should be
Cool.
on there.
That's that's interesting, man.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, so I'm kind of amused.
Check
by
it out,
that.
check it out.
Yeah. And then, obviously, now you work with a lot of different companies. You do a lot of different stuff. When did you start realizing, like, okay, something is going on in regards to being here in the desert and actually taking pictures professionally?
I don't know, because it's such a hit and miss with freelance
Yeah,
stuff that it's
yeah.
like some months I'll get a whole bunch of jobs, some I won't get any.
No.
So it's like still to this day I'm like, all right, is this gonna work out for the rest of my life, or am I gonna have to
Yeah.
start selling crack? No, just kidding.
Yeah.
But
Crack's out though. You gotta pick
I don't know,
something.
fentanyl's in.
Nah, no fentanyl.
No, just kidding. But, yeah.
Damn. Okay, that's what's up. And then recently, if I'm not mistaken, it was maybe last month or the month before that you started working with Palm Springs Life magazine. Is that
Yeah,
right?
a couple months.
How did that come about?
Well, my girlfriend, she works with them a lot,
Okay.
and she started
Dope.
taking pictures of them. She does like a lot of food photography.
Okay. Dope.
And so with that, she kind of mentioned my name, saying that I do drone stuff, and
Yeah.
so then got the cover,
Yeah.
first cover.
Yeah. That's right.
First,
That's
or
right.
no, not my first published, but yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing, man. Let me ask you about your drone footage, because I think that your drone footage is actually some of the best drone footage I've seen. Like, what like makes you, or take me through a day of like you going out and kind of mentally preparing yourself to just get out there and take drone footage and take pictures and video. I mean, like, do you have to hype yourself up for it? Do you, and I'm only asking because I'm sure that there's people out there, including myself, who kind of want to hear like what that kind of looks like.
Yeah, so it depends. Like, sometimes I'll hear just like a cool song, and I'm like, oh, I need to create something for this song.
Dope.
So I'll just go try to. Well, and also like a beautiful day will like hype
Sure,
me up.
sure,
If
sure.
there's clouds and shit, I'm like, time to go shoot, because there's rarely any clouds or it's dusty or whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah.
But then also a lot of the times I'm like, oh, I'm too lazy. But yeah, I appreciate you saying that like my drone stuff's some of the best, but I think it's maybe like high quality out here in the desert. But like if you go to LA, there's so much crazy drone people,
I'm sure there is, and I'm sure
Way
there's
better than
people
me.
everywhere. But just from what I've seen, definitely locally, and maybe I don't look
yeah.
enough or whatever, but I like it because I find inspiration from it, right? So if I find inspiration from it, it's good enough for me to be like, yo, this is dope. And I'm not someone that usually finds inspiration in these kind of things. So, no, it's really dope, man. And like, how do you choose your locations? Is it just pretty much like random, like depending on where you're at? Like, how do you base that?
Yeah, so I was living on the north end for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and there's not really, much to shoot out here.
Right.
You kind of got to go to the same spots
Right.
or whatever and just hit different angles. So that's basically it. Like, so I'll just wake up in the morning, go out, find a cool spot or something that looks symmetrical. Like on the road here, it's obviously, that's in the middle,
Right.
symmetrical. I just try to capture shots like that.
That's dope, man.
But yeah.
That's interesting. And like, how would you describe your style of shooting?
All over the place.
Oh shit, that's what's up.
Because, I do, like, dark street stuff, and I
Yup.
do bright landscape stuff, and it's just all over the place.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you go to my page, it's not like a
One
one
set.
theme.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah. I think that's really dope though because I could tell that you're kind of like more or less just trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
In
I
a
just like
sense.
creating.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's dope. That's dope. And I also going back to what you said about the music, I think it's very important, the music that goes into these videos or
Mhm.
shots because it almost like amplifies everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Creates
but
emotion.
yeah, absolutely, and it's cool to hear you say that you're basing your shots off a song, as opposed to creating the video and then adding a song to
Well,
it.
that's the
Right?
thing too. Most of the time, it's that. Like,
Yeah,
I'll create a
yeah.
video for a client or
Oh,
something,
right,
and,
right.
I'll have to choose a song after
Yeah.
the fact, or like see if they want a specific song.
Sure. No, that's cool. And tell me about your. Let's go back a little bit to when you were young and just kind of running around Palm Springs. Like, what was it like for you being here in the desert, where obviously it's not a big city.
Mhm.
I could imagine back then. I wasn't here, so I don't know. But like, where did you find inspiration? I mean, was it just pretty much? I mean, because you don't have obviously back then you didn't have access to like the internet because I don't think
No,
there
no.
was any internet, right?
I didn't have as
But like,
much
I mean, were you just kind of running around, just doing whatever? I mean,
Yeah, so I didn't really have any inspiration back then. I was like basically a latchkey kid or whatever they call
Sure.
it. My parents were divorced, and I grew up with my mom and grandma mostly,
Right.
and they both worked full time, so
just
I
running.
was just on the streets,
Yeah,
growing up with other kids who were on the streets skateboarding and stuff, and we didn't have inspiration. That's why we just turned to drugs.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Where was this at? Like, what part of the desert were you in? Did
North
you
Palm
say?
Springs.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I can't imagine there being too much. I mean, especially back then, right? There probably was even less to do.
Yeah,
at the-
there was like nothing here, and like
Yeah.
2008, everything was crashing, so
Right.
we were just
I remember that.
tearing shit up.
Yeah. How old are you?
32.
Okay.
33 in
All
December.
right. That's
Yeah.
what's up. Sorry, I didn't know if you wanted to let that out or not. But I'm just trying to think of like the timeline.
No,
You
yeah,
know
yeah.
what I mean? So that's very interesting. And then like, tell me a little bit about like going into the army and why you chose to do that, and if it was something that you found beforehand that you wanted to do, that you've always wanted to do, or you felt like it was just kind of like an outlet for you to just get out of here and figure something else out. Or,
Yeah, so during high school, I was like a pretty depressed kid, I think. I pretty much blame all this shit on my poor choices doing drugs as a young
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah, yeah,
Because now I feel like I have like anxiety, depression, ADHD,
yeah, same.
all stemming from that, I think.
Yeah.
So anyways, in high school, I was a pretty depressed kid, and I was like, I didn't want to go to college. I didn't have money for college, and I was tired of being in the desert because like everybody just seemed so shady back then,
Mm-hmm.
and people were wild back in the day too, before like internet and stuff.
Sure.
So yeah, I was like, fuck, well, I might as well just join the army and get the hell out of here.
And then once you made it there, were you like, oh, this is what I want to do? Or, like, how was that experience for you first getting in there?
When I first got there, I kind of knew what I was getting myself into.
Okay.
So like, when you first get there, they try to scare you. All the drill sergeants yell at you and shit. And then you see kids break, they start crying and freaking out. But I already knew what it was, so I just looked at them and was just like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
And then, so that was no problem. And I was pretty athletic,
Mm-hmm.
so it was fine. The only problem is, like, I'm a quiet kid,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to, like, kind of be vocal. Not vocal, but, like, willing to, like, take charge of things when you need to.
And then what was your experience? Like, you were there for how long?
From 2009 to 2015, so
Okay.
like 5.5 years.
Wow. Dope. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if it's dope, but it's a trip.
It's an experience.
Yeah, definitely an experience. And then you got sent out to go to war? Like, how does that?
No, like when I first joined, you go to basic training,
Yeah.
which for infantry, which was what I was. I went to Georgia
Okay.
for 3 months or something like that. And then after that, they send you to your duty station. So I went to Fort Drum, New York. So that was like way upstate New York. And then I was there for a year. And then after that, I went to Afghanistan for a year. And then I went back to New York. And then I went to Fort Bliss, Texas after that for a couple more years, and then got out.
No, damn.
I was in El Paso.
Right. So you got to see some places.
Yeah, but they're all shitty places.
Right. That's funny, man.
But honestly, like, I think New York would have been tight if I was like more aware of where I was and the scenery and stuff. Sure. I took it for granted because I was like an alcoholic and stuff.
Sure. Let's talk about the photography, right? And I want to kind of get a sense of, I know what you use in regards to photography because I've asked you this before, but just for the viewers that don't necessarily know, what are you shooting with, and what do you prefer to shoot with, and
Yeah, I shoot with the Sony A7 III.
Okay.
And my phone a lot of the time.
Yeah, I've seen it.
The iPhone 14.
Sure.
The lens I use, I like to use the 90 millimeter macro lens.
Dope.
It's a pretty dope one.
Okay.
But yeah.
That's what's up. It's funny because...
And my drone, obviously.
And the drone. What kind of drone is that again?
The Mavic Pro 2.
Yeah. For those listening, if you guys ever want to get a drone, that's a really dope drone.
Yeah, well, they got the 3 now, and that one's crazy.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
3.
And then you're using, like, the goggles, too.
No, so that one's for the DJI Avata.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the FPV drone.
That's right.
I have that one, too, though. That one's sick.
Yeah,
I like
that is sick.
I just got to get better at it.
Right on. You're doing a good job, man. It looks fun, too.
Yeah.
It's like when you just kind of zoned in, POV. It's like...
Yeah, people ask me if it's, like, hard to fly drones and stuff, but I used to play Call of Duty a lot and play video games, so it's like not that hard.
Kind of goes hand in hand. Yeah. And then, as of lately, excuse me, not really as of lately, because I've noticed you've been doing this for a while, but there's also a lot of pictures of graffiti. Do you kind of like, is that something that you've always been interested in doing, or is it more like a urban setting that you like taking pictures of? Tell me a little bit about that photography style and what you do with it.
Yeah, so I was doing a lot of street, urban photography when I was living in LA.
Dope.
And that's probably the best place for it,
Sure. Yeah.
I tried to do it out here, and it's like you take a picture of like a unique homeless person, but then there's like flowers and palm trees and lovely shit
there's
behind
only
it.
so much. Yeah.
No graffiti.
No, I agree.
And, like,
I agree.
Hard shit. So yeah, but I really like taking. I feel like it has a lot of emotion in those photos.
I agree. I personally like taking pictures. When we go out painting and stuff like that. I'm just very big on capturing moments.
Yeah.
And I think it's important also to document those moments, especially because like I don't necessarily have any pictures from back in the day. A lot of that stuff got taken by the popo. So, I figured, damn, 10 years from now, I could look back at a lot of this stuff and be like, oh, okay, I have footage, And plus, with the internet nowadays, it kind of just lives there, right?
Yeah,
so, like, once it's in there, it's just there forever.
Yeah. What's your photo page again?
Photo Decay.
Photo Decay. Yeah, you have a lot of dope stuff on there.
Thanks, man. And I'm by no means a photographer. I'm just...
I mean, you are, bro. You're taking pictures and
I guess if that's what makes me a photographer. But, honestly, I think my biggest thing is just, like, being able to, again, capture those moments. I do try to get better at it as I go. I think it's cool. I feel like it's another way of, like, expressing yourself. I think it's very artistic. And then you also want to, like, kind of test the limits too. You want to see how far you can take it in regards to like what you can add to it to make it look cooler. Lately I've been really into like making cooler videos, which I find a lot of inspiration from you, and then you've also taught me a lot, especially using different programs and stuff. So like once you find out how to start doing this stuff, like it's almost like you just want to keep going, right?
And there's always new shit to learn.
So it's very cool to like finish going out painting and then coming back, and then you're almost like for me, it's like I get to like now take this footage, and it's like I'm still in that zone of tranquility and just being able to like relieve stress by just zoning into my
Yeah.
photography programs and like adding stuff and editing and
And
all
you're
that.
excited to see what you got.
Yeah,
And, like how you
you
put
know,
it together. Yeah,
and a lot of that stuff, it's for me. Like I want to just kind of test myself
Yeah.
and get better at it. It's really cool when like people say like, "Oh, that's dope" or whatever. And I appreciate that by all means. But like it's really just like even with graffiti, like you just want to kind of like keep testing yourself and get better and better, every time. But I know that whenever you come out with us, and kind of just kick it with us and get photography and stuff, it's like almost like I know that we're gonna have some good footage,
Yeah.
and I feel like it's important, and I feel like that's very important for me personally to be able to have these moments that you want to capture, and it looks dope as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like you get a cool video out of it, especially as of lately. If anybody that's listening to this, and you guys are familiar with my Instagram page with the Flat Black page, obviously you're gonna see a lot of Chad's work on there. I have a lot of stuff in there, but you could almost tell when it's Chad because it's like super doper. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's pretty dope, dog. But it's just it's really cool, and it amplifies everything. It makes a big difference. But how do you like going out and capturing these? Like, what does that mean for you, and what does it do for you?
I think just creating in general gives most people like a dopamine hit.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like you're creating something from nothing.
Sure.
And it's whether you put that out or not, I think it gives you a little bit of dopamine, and then you put it out and people engage with it, and it gives you more dopamine, and you just get excited about creating more.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I'm not saying it's all about the dopamine, but it's pretty.
Well, it helps.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes it that much more special.
Yeah. And it's like, what else am I gonna do? Go fucking work at 7-Eleven or something? Not that that's a bad thing, but it's just not for me. It's just like I can't. I can't just. My brain doesn't work where I can just sit and do one thing all day.
Yeah. And that's dope because you could essentially be working on 5-10 projects at the same time, right? And like it's keeping you creative, and it's keeping. And the cool thing is, I think like 1 minute you're working with Palm Springs Life and you're doing drone shots of people's pools, and then the next, you're walking with a bunch of us hauling spray paint and hauling all this stuff and engaging with the whole process, and and it's like it's dope to be it's dope to be able to pull off all these different types of things and still keep that same creative, like you don't lack in any one of them. Like it's all creative in its own different way. Let me ask you this: where do you see yourself in the next like 5 years? Like in regards to what you're doing with the photography, where do you want to see yourself, and how far do you think that you're willing to take it in order to just make this something that you're doing constantly and for a living?
Yeah. So it's a hard question because there's a few different routes that I'd be okay with. Like one of them would be to just move to the middle of nowhere in Maine. And do some wildlife photography and try to figure out how to make money with that.
Some National Geographic shit.
It's just something.
That's dope. I love it.
And then another route is just like get hired by a really famous rich person who will just pay me to pay me a good amount to take pictures for them or whatever the case may be.
Or maybe a company or something.
Yeah.
Like
somebody who's willing to pay me enough to where I'm not stressing about.
And that's a goal, or is that where you would want to? Because there's a difference.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
that's the thing.
What is your goal?
It's hard for me to set goals, bro, because the future is so unknown. It's like,
I like that. It's a cool theory. That's cool. and I dig it that you're thinking about every day, and it's like day by day.
Yeah, and things switch up like that. Like I've had so much crazy family issues in the last 2 months, where it like completely changed everything.
Sure. But it's also good to have goals, man.
It is.
You
It
know?
is. I'm not saying. Yeah, never mind. I don't know.
No, it's cool. I mean, I just basically what I'm trying to do is just, for anybody that's listening, I'm trying to make sure that the people that follow you and care about what you're doing, I'm just trying to find inspiration from them because, there's people, and I know for a fact, because I've talked to people that kind of see what you're doing, even without even noticing, right, on your end. And they're kind of like, not that they're like seeing what you're doing for them to do, but, it matters to them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I feel like having an ultimate goal to reach is very important, especially in anything that you do. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like you have the potential to get there. Now, granted, it is hard. I could imagine to say, this is where I'm going because you do so many different types of things, right? But I feel like ultimately, just in general, having a basic goal would be dope to say, man, in 5 years, I want to be making this amount of money, whether it's freelancing or working for this company, because then you're kind of like saying, this is the route or this is the goal that I need to be working towards, instead of taking it like every day is like, and then waiting for something to just happen. You know what I'm saying?
You're completely right.
And that's just my personal opinion because I've been in that same predicament where I'm like, day by day, and it got me by, but what am I really working for?
Yeah.
Like I think about the shop, for example. Flat Black. It's like, where do I want to be? And if I was just to say, well, I just want to be a shop and have a shop every day, right? Like I'm here, like, and it's a blessing. Sometimes I sit there, I'm like, damn, how the hell did I even make it this far? You know what I'm saying? But and every day there's something new and things happen and then we elevate or sometimes go down. Like you just never know with these types of things, right? Yeah. But having an ultimate goal in mind kind of is what keeps me from like really drowning into these thoughts of like, damn, did I fail or did I not fail? Like, there's good days, there's bad days, but if I have a goal in mind, it's like, well, I didn't fail. I'm still here, but I didn't really necessarily make it just yet because this is where I'm trying to get. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's important, bro.
No, yeah, you're completely right. I definitely, that's how every person who made it.
Sure.
They had a goal and they reached toward, work towards it.
Yeah, man.
I think my problem is that I get so caught up with the future and the past and stuff that I need to set myself a goal. What I'm saying.
Yeah, and you don't even have to like make it all crazy, like I mean it doesn't have to be for
little wins too. You can make little
wins. Absolutely, and you're getting there in stages, because there is definitely levels to this. You know what I'm saying? And every time we reach those levels, at the same time we do have to sit down and like really think like, okay, I made it this far, and like really appreciate where we've gone, because if you think about it, I mean, just 5 years ago, you probably wish you were in a position that you're in now, and then here you are working with Palm Springs Life magazine. You're, someone that people actually want to see, right? And someone that's inspiring other photographers and just I think that's very important, bro. Like we have to like really take into consideration how blessed we are sometimes, and I personally forget about that too, like sometimes I'm like, damn, like because I didn't get somewhere, I'm like, man, like I failed. But then it's like, did I really fail? My worst days are better than my best days before. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't know, not to like try to kick knowledge and shit, but like I just,
what this was for, right?
Yeah, I just think it's important, dog, and I think I think for the people that really find inspiration in this, have something to kind of look forward to, and we have that responsibility, man, to really like, not to put like pressure on us either, but like a responsibility to just kind of like live with integrity, and like try to like do the best that we can, you know what I'm saying? And but it's really dope to see where you're at. It's dope to see where how far you've came, because uh, I've known you for quite a while already. As a matter of fact, you had an art show with your photography at my shop. Was it last year?
I think it was last year.
You know, and even then I thought, damn, this is the guy right here.
Yeah.
You know, and like to think that, and then like know you personally, get to know you really well, and then see where you came even from that point is crazy, bro. Like, you know, I take a look at some of these shots and I'm like, I find it really dope that there's someone out here, and there's several people, I'm sure, but like someone that's, because I know you, like you're just kind of doing your thing, but you capture these crazy shots of like the desert, right?
Yeah,
And I think it's like amazing because it's so casual for you. You know what I'm saying? And all it really takes is for you to just go in there, do some editing, and then boom, you put it out, and it's like, bam, homie. Like here is this amazing shot of this street that we see every day. You know what I'm saying? But we don't necessarily see it in the way that you're projecting it on these pictures. You know, and like let me ask you that. Like, do you look for that? Like, what does that look like for you when you're taking these pictures? Do you see the editing already in your head, or do you just take the pictures because you have a vision of what that could look like? If that makes any sense.
yeah. Well, let me go back a little bit because,
Sure.
You know, anybody could do what I do. The only reason why I'm good at it is because I had a few years where I wasn't working or anything. I was just
Right.
living at my mom's and just going out and shooting every day.
Right.
And so I had a lot of time to learn the craft. It's not like I was doing jobs and was trying to learn this at the same time. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be where I am right now.
Sure.
So I think you can inspire yourself. You don't need me to be inspired. Anybody could do what I can do. It just takes time. Just do it every day. Go out and shoot, or like whatever your thing is. Just if you do it every single day, in a couple of years you'll be fucking legit. You know.
Sick. And that's real talk.
Yeah.
So back to the pictures though.
Yeah.
sorry. Do you see these in your head prior to like what? Because I mean, let's be realistic though. You gotta have a vision to do this. Like you can't.
But
I understand
so like
anybody can do this,
Mhm.
obviously, because people do it all the time, right? Everybody's a photographer because we all have cool cameras on their phones and all. But like, do you see these pictures in your head? And you know, for example, like some of the like sunset pictures that are like different colors, and it's like it just brings out these, you know, magentas and purples and no, not this one, but you know, there's several that I've seen. Like, obviously, editing goes into these pictures, right? But do you see that picture looking like how it ends up prior?
No.
Okay,
Like I don't even see it before. Like if let's say I'm flying my drone.
Mm-hmm.
I won't know what I'm gonna take a picture of.
Mhm.
I'll fly it around, look for something, you know, symmetrical or in frame, and
Sure.
then go from there. And usually the edit turns out different than what I thought it would be or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it all just depends really on lighting and just everything.
The editing, I will say, and I learned this from you, is a whole skill of its own.
Yeah.
You know,
That's all trial and error. And
absolutely,
personal preference.
man, that is without a doubt some real shit. And I know this because after talking with you and learning some of this stuff, you know, I went back on some of the pictures that I've taken from before even,
Yeah,
but that
I've
were
done
just
that.
normal. But then I went in and edited whatever.
You
Did some editing. And, bro, I'm like, whoa. You know,
Yeah, it looked way crazier,
yeah,
huh?
it's
Yeah.
night and day. You know, and I'm like, wow, that is an art form in its own.
Right.
You know, but I also feel like you have to have an eye for what you're taking a picture of.
Mm-hmm.
I see a lot of street photography that, you know, that's showing people just people, right? A lot of stuff that shows just landscapes. My personal preference though is like the street photography where it's just people walking around, because you have so many different personalities, so many different expressions, so many different things, so many different mentalities, you know, and it's like being expressed in these pictures. So like being able to have an eye for that, I feel like you have to have something right? Like you
Yeah.
have to have that, or else everybody would be doing this.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's important also, like for people that want to start taking pictures, to like really hone in on that, just having that vision, right? Of being able to. Not every picture is gonna be obviously gold, right?
Yeah.
But like just kind of having an idea of what that looks like.
Yeah.
And for me, like I like to, me personally, when I take pictures, I get excited because I know when I took a good picture.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure you've felt that as well. Like when you're like, oh yeah, like
You
when I
can't
get
wait to go
home,
edit
yeah,
it.
when I get home, this is gonna be magic. You know, and I think that's special, man. And again, that's something that I'm learning. And I only just started picking this up during COVID. You know, I've always taken pictures, but like really been like, oh damn, like this is special. And then well, obviously COVID, a lot of us started doing that kind of shit, right? I got into a lot of the film photography too, which has been amazing for me. And the one thing I like about film photography, and then also taking pictures of the homies painting and stuff like that, being in these like abandoned spots or, you know, like live action stuff on the streets. What I like about this stuff is with the film camera, you don't know what you're gonna get until you get it. So you're almost like forced to like take these like good pictures.
Yeah,
You don't want to
time with it and
waste.
stuff,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? So that's one thing that I definitely learned from film photography, and not by again by any means am I not like a professional, but like I know I'm learning more and more every day, like what it looks like to take a good picture, right? And you do it enough times, you're like, okay, I'm on the street.
Yeah.
Like I could take better pictures. But yeah, COVID, I'm sure a lot of people started doing that, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Then I also bought myself a camera, a digital camera, a Fujifilm X100F, which I think was like fairly new at that time. And that changed it for me, you know, because all these pictures were so crispy, you know, and I'm like, whoa, you know.
You take a video with that too, or no?
You can, but it doesn't have a stabilizer.
Oh,
So,
it's all
and yeah, super shitty, bro. Like it's all shaky. I have, but yeah, you know, like it's not. I'd rather do it with my phone, like at that point. But it's best for camera for just shots. But I found that, you know, taking these pictures, I see the advantage of taking pictures with these dope digital cameras because it's kind of hard to not take a good picture. But then when you're good at it, it's like even better, you know? And also, like I started, like we were talking about the other day, I started finding all these like recipes, right? For like different templates in regards to like what you want it to look like, whether it's a film template or chromatic, black and
Yeah,
white.
and I had never heard of those. I
Yeah.
didn't know you can like put those settings
Yeah,
in.
yeah. It's almost like cheating because obviously you take a raw picture, right, and then you go home and then you edit it, right. And that's how you get those effects.
Right.
Where the camera itself now, you're just able to just make that happen at that point.
So is it still shooting raw then, or no?
It's basically shooting. So for example, like the film template or whatever it's called, it's coming out like film.
Yeah.
So like, no, it's not raw.
see.
It's done for you. Now there's downsides to that because that's it, right? That's all you
can't
get.
really edit it
Yeah,
anymore.
you're done,
Yeah.
right? So I like that because again, it's like what I take is what I take, even with digital cameras. You know what I mean? But at that point, I could look at it and say, well, I don't like it, so let me take it again. So it's almost like cheating, you know. But then I also use it for black and white and chromatic and like all these different kinds of like just moods, you know. But all in all, I think that editing is where it's at.
Yeah.
You know, you take them in raw, then you make it happen.
I just got a film camera too, so I need to start learning.
Did you?
I've never even shot a film.
Oh, dude, we gotta go out there. Yeah.
Figure it out.
It's dope, man. And, you know, I've always wanted to, like, it's funny, I always tell my wife this, because I get so inspired, man. Like, I'll watch YouTube videos of dudes just walking around fucking taking pictures.
Yeah.
Now, me personally, I don't think that I could get away with that as much because, for one, people probably see me and they think like, "Who the fuck is this cholo?"
Bro, I feel like you can get away with it even more because of that.
I don't know,
No one's
bro.
gonna say shit to you.
Yeah, until they call the cops.
For what? Taking pictures.
You're
with
right.
you?
You're right. But I mean, you know, I'm walking around with a camera. I'm taking pictures. Let's just say I take a picture of a chick or something, and she's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
You know what
I
I'm
see what you're
saying?
saying, yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously, I'm not walking around with bad intentions. So yeah,
No, yeah.
it's not like I'm doing anything wrong.
No,
but
it's nerve wracking, like doing street photography.
that's
like,
a whole nother thing.
just sticking a camera. in
Think
someone's
about
face.
that though, and like some of this stuff that I've been watching, these dudes are literally in people's faces.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so I'm not gonna use the way I look as a cop out. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, I don't know why I even did that. I need to just get out there, stop making excuses, and do that. But I think it's getting to when you're taking pictures of strangers
Yeah.
and you're all in their space.
Yeah, you don't know what their reaction. That's like someone coming up to you and be like,
I
you're
would
like,
probably
"What the
be
fuck?"
like, "Yo, who are you, dude?"
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now, granted, you could always do it from across the street, or there's different
get
angles
longer
and
lenses
stuff.
and stuff
Sure,
like that.
sure. Well, let me ask you this: what film camera did you get?
I don't know. Someone gifted it to me.
Okay.
I haven't really.
Is it a
yet.
point and shoot, or it's like a little compact one, or is it
You
like
can change the lens, I think.
so it's pretty heavy duty? I gotta look at
Yeah,
it.
I'll show you it.
Yeah, because it makes a difference. Now,
'Cause I don't know shit about film.
that's
It's crazy.
interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And I mean, I'm not a pro either, but
But you would think I would know something, huh?
I mean, but I guess because you know enough with what you're doing, I think it's not going to be hard for you to
Right,
learn.
as far
But
as
it
like
is a
ISO
whole
and all
nother thing. Yeah, once you get like, obviously, once you get like loading in the film and
Like,
taking it
that's the
out,
hardest part.
yeah, like you got it right. So it should be good. But man, that's very interesting that you've never done that, and I'm pretty hyped. We should definitely go out there and just take pictures, man.
Yeah. We gotta go to LA one of these days or something.
Yeah, yeah, or anywhere. I mean, any big city. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, for as much time as I spend, sometimes I plan trips out to go find different spots to go paint and stuff. Like, I feel like I need to definitely put a little bit more effort into the photography aspect of it. Because I'm starting to really like that shit, man. It's like I'm starting to really like how it makes me feel.
Yeah.
And I almost feel like it's starting to make me feel the way I feel after painting a piece,
Yeah.
right? And
It's a new creative outlet, you know.
It
You're
is a new
excited
creative
about it, and
outlet.
that's how I was when
Yeah.
I first started too. I was like, oh, dude, this shit's tight.
yeah, no, definitely, and it's got its own, it's got its own feel, but it's just really cool, like having these cool pictures. And I don't know, man, maybe I'm overthinking it, but I really like it, and I really want to do more of it.
Oh, yeah.
And I will say that it's very dope to have people like you around to kind of be like, inspired by. Again, I always try to outdo myself,
Yeah.
make the best of it. But having friends that are skillful in that sense, just like with graffiti, like with graffiti, for example, you got a crew, and you're all kind of learning off each other, right? It's a brotherhood to me, at least, and that's what it should be. Nobody's hating, everybody's just kind of learning and growing. I feel like that's very important with photography as well. It's having friends around that you could get inspired by and just and just kind of learn from.
Yeah,
We
definitely.
all can teach each other something.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And then especially with like drone. What's been my shit lately, dude? Also is cinematography. Dude, I have this fucking thing for cinematography, bro, where I just envision myself doing just these cinematic videos, right? With just this moody kind of filter on it, or just vibe to it. And moody, like, in regards to, like, kind of like dark, but not too dark,
Right.
and just like cinematic, right? And then just these scenes, right, where it's like almost basically B-roll,
Yeah.
right? But like something about that, man, I just find extremely fascinating, bro.
Yeah.
And like, I really want to definitely get into that.
I feel like the biggest thing of like filming cinematic shots is just filming in slow motion.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Is that the trick?
Because like when it's in slow motion, and, like,
It just
going
looks cooler, right?
just
Damn,
like,
and I've never tried slow motion,
Yeah.
so maybe that's something that I'll definitely dive into next.
I've been doing like a lot of like speed ramp stuff. Where it'd
Okay.
be, like fast and then slow.
Oh,
and go back to
yes,
fast.
yes. A lot of the new videos from our page are like that.
Yeah.
And that's dope.
Yeah.
And I feel like through experience, you kind of like figured that out.
Yeah,
you know?
and I would say this to you and anybody else who's trying new stuff is like, don't be afraid to try new stuff. Don't be afraid to get creative. And even if it looks like shit, you can always just go back and re-edit it. You know.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is, you know. But
Yeah.
you can't be afraid to try new shit and take risks, because that's
guess
how you grow.
that's it.
And learn. Like you can, if you decided to try some crazy, wild, outlandish shit that nobody else will like,
Right.
but you like it and you just create your own style from that, it could potentially grow. You know.
I think that's important.
Yeah.
I think we all have to have our own style.
Mm-hmm.
I think the style of photography, the style of artwork, the style of everything that we do is kind of like a piece of ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Like that is who we are, and that's how we express ourselves. So I think that's important, and you're right about that.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important to definitely create your own style. I think it's great to find inspiration from other people, but I also feel like you don't want to bite anybody, because then you get lost, and then you're trying to like be like somebody else, and you know, maybe that's just not you.
But sometimes you kind of have to take other people's stuff and kind of regurgitate it.
Sure.
Or like redefine it.
I get it. In your own way.
And I've done that myself, to where
Sure.
like I've seen some dark, moody stuff, and I'm like, oh, I like that. I'm gonna try to edit my shit like that, but a little slightly different or something.
Right. And that's because
that's
you
fine,
have your
you know?
own style.
Because everything's already been created. Everything's
Absolutely,
been done.
bro.
So it's
Absolutely.
like you kind of just have to recreate things now.
Yeah. And I think it's important to just go with what we like, right?
Yeah.
Like,
just do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Do what you like.
and I feel like that's a lot of my pictures that I take are just that.
Yeah.
Like, what do I like to see?
Mhm.
You know? And it's cool when other people say, well, I like that too. And I'm like, oh shit. Well, that's cool.
Yeah. And I think a lot of us, especially me, I get way too caught up in what people might think about whatever it is. So like sometimes that'll prevent me from uploading something because it's not perfect. But it's like, honestly, just make something and upload it. Nobody gives a shit. They might give a shit for like a second, like the picture, and be like, hey, that's cool. But then like 10 minutes later, they're doing their own thing. So
That's a trip. That's a trip how that happens. And I feel you 100%. We tend to like not want to almost like
embarrass ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When in reality, bro, everybody has their own fucking problems, dog.
Everybody's a human being.
Yeah, like how bad can it really be? I mean, and I feel like the people that actually did make it, like the big people that in any field, right, were the ones that took that chance because they did it the way they wanted to do it.
Mhm.
They took a lot of risks and owned up to it.
Mhm.
That's what makes it cool, I think, right? I think that's what makes you special,
Yeah.
is to do the risk or take the risk, fuck up, and be like, well, I learned something from it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of my experience from just owning like a store and trying to grow my business has always been that, like taking those risks.
Yeah.
I could honestly say like I've taken a lot of risks and I've taken a lot of L's, bro.
Yeah.
But if I didn't take those L's, I wouldn't know where I'm at. And I think that applies to a lot of
Yeah.
this. I've probably taken more losses than fools have taken wins.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, I've taken more losses than dudes have even tried.
Right. Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to take those losses.
Right.
Because those losses are what's making me kind of grow,
Yeah.
and that applies to my everyday life, bro. Like straight up, and that's something that I try to tell all my close friends. Like, again, like not that I like try to kick knowledge and shit, but like if I could tell you something that I've learned from and have you kind of more or less avoid,
Yeah.
like going through that, I'm gonna tell you like. You got to take losses, whether it's in photography, whether it's in business, whether, I think it's very important to just live, man. It's, I think we just overthink a lot of this shit, bro, and I'm like that.
I'm the
You know.
biggest overthinker.
Yeah, and a lot of us are. You know, a lot of people are like that, bro, and a lot of people are good at hiding it. You know, but it's out there, and we just gotta make shit happen. Because if not, the next person is gonna do it because they're gonna just take that chance. And
Doesn't it seem like a selective amount of people like know what's going on? Like it feels like there's a few people who have it together and shit like that, and like those are the people that we're afraid of embarrassing ourselves from. But there's really not. Nobody has it figured out.
Nobody has it figured out.
Everybody
bro.
gets embarrassed about everything.
Not only that, some people are just, like I said, better at hiding it.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
some people have a better poker face.
Yeah.
You know, but everybody goes
Everybody's
through it,
scared
bro.
of everything.
Everybody, not that everybody's scared of everything. I think it's just some people are just like fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's worser things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think some people have just learned how to just let it go.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the moment you find that is the moment that you start really living.
But then I also wonder if that's like a lack of intelligence, though. You know what I mean? That people could just let shit
Absolutely.
go and fucking-
Well, there's people that just don't know.
Right. No, I'm not saying I'm intelligent. I'm a fucking idiot.
No. Stop it. No, I'm just saying, like, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that they're not intelligent. I think that they're just not. How should I word this? I think there's people that don't have the same problems as others.
Yeah,
so
like-
there's no reason to even
Yeah.
think like that. And I think that there's people that have had things happen where when you reach a certain point in your life, it's almost like, you know what, I was in this position and that position sucked and now I'm out of it. So why would I for any moment trip when I'm out of that situation?
Yeah.
You know? And those people are just, they're okay with just the average, right? Like, I'm not there, I'm here, and they're probably living way happier than we are because
yeah,
of
for
that.
sure.
You know what I'm saying? But then there's people like us who want to do better and better and better and better, right? And we put ourselves in this mentality where we're not being as good as we want to be, and we lie to ourselves and say like, oh fuck, like everybody cares, and it, you know, I'm not doing enough, but I don't really think that that's real, bro. I think it's all in our minds, you know.
Well,
and
yeah. What I mean, like people, I don't know. A lot of people have some fucked up wiring in their brains,
Sure.
like you and I.
Sure.
We can't stop thinking about thoughts.
Sure.
And then a lot of people are just, you know the saying, ignorance is bliss.
Yes.
I've seen a lot of happy people who just are kind of slow, and you know, I almost envy them.
I was gonna just say that. Well, shit, man. What does it
But-
take?
I guess a lot
You know?
more drugs. No.
I guess so, bro. But
but
that's cool. You know, I'm good for them. You know,
yeah,
but
also not. I wouldn't change my life for anybody
Sure.
else's.
sure.
You know,
You are in the position that you're in for a reason, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And everything that happens from this point forward is ultimately already written, right? So I think it's important for you to just kind of like accept. And
What
I'm
is.
telling you this because I'm telling myself as well, right? And I'm sure a lot of people can relate. It's we need to just accept it for what it is, right?
Yeah.
All we can do is be the best that we can be.
yeah.
And when you do good, just good shit is gonna happen,
Mhm.
right? There's obviously gonna be obstacles, and I think those obstacles are kind of what drives us crazy because it might be going good and then something bad happens and we're like, well, what the fuck, you know? Like, I'm not in the position now that I wanted to be because of this, and it's like, in all reality, sometimes we don't really think about it, and these obstacles are actually good.
Yeah.
You know, as bad as it is, sometimes it's like it's kind of put there to make us that much better.
Yeah.
But we put these restrictions on our brain, you know, that make us think like, no, it's not good. You know what I'm saying?
No,
but
yeah, I know.
but I think it's important that people realize, like, in everything that you do, you're gonna face challenges. I particularly like your story because I know you personally, and I know where you came from, and I know you from the point that I met you, and I know where you're at now. And I feel like you deserve your flowers too. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like people need to understand the real you, and that they need to understand that you are just normal too. I mean, not normal in the sense of like normal, but
No,
like
I am
normal in the
just a
sense
regular
like
dude,
you're
you
just
know?
a regular dude just trying to make it. And
Yeah.
this could be anybody that's just starting or that's already started. We all got our challenges and we all have things going on with our lives, but if you put enough effort into it, you too can be someone that could learn a skill set that's good enough for other people to appreciate and then want to hire,
Yeah.
right? And that's important because it makes your life's work worth, it makes it worth it,
Yeah.
when other people want to hire you and when you are sought after and people really appreciate what you're doing. And it's really exciting to sit here and do this podcast and know, like, who's to say that next week or next year, like, you'll be working for a big company,
Mm-hmm.
or everything that you spoke about in the beginning of the podcast, could come true,
Yeah.
you know? And it's important to document these things as well because you could always look back to it, and it goes back to the photography, and that's a big part of why I even do these podcasts.
Yeah.
As you know, like I don't always feel comfortable doing these things because I'm a nervous wreck usually.
Yeah, me too.
But it's dope sitting down with people like yourself and everybody that I've had on, and I'm sure everybody that I'll have on from now on.
Yeah.
Is like there's this connection, and it's just chill.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily a podcast where it's an interview. It's more of like sitting down and talking.
Yeah.
And I could tell you from the point that I started this interview or this podcast from when we started, I don't know how long it's been, but till now, like I feel a lot more comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because then we started talking more into the things that really matter in regards
Yeah,
to
yeah.
like our daily lives and shit. So yeah, man. Podcasts are cool, photography's cool, everything's cool. Here we are, bro. Like it's a trip. I never in my life thought that I would be sitting talking to people. I dread even just being in meetings.
Yeah.
It's like I'm a nervous wreck, but
No, it's funny too because I like almost want to start my own podcast. Just 'cause
Sure.
I'm curious about people too.
sure,
But at the
right?
same time, like,
It's
if I started, I want to do it.
Yeah.
I want to because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
always start shit and I'll do it for like a day or
Sure.
2 days and then
sure.
I'll be like, I'll just stick to what I was doing.
That's interesting, but it happens. I've done it. But I think the fact that you start is kind of like it tells you like, okay, well, you're willing to commit for a little bit. You
Yeah.
just need to kind of figure out how to
Drop
press
down in the
that
comments
trigger.
if I should start a podcast.
Dude, I'm pretty sure that thing would be filled up, man. No, that's dope. Definitely, I agree. Yeah, definitely drop down in the comments, man. Let us know. And if you want to be on the chat podcast, let us know, man, for sure. Dude, I think we're gonna wrap it up, man.
Okay, one thing I want to tell
Yes,
anybody
please do.
who's trying to start photography, accept every job.
Mm.
I've done so much crazy jobs. Like I went to Compton and filmed a music video. I've done like stuff for nice hotels. Everything from one side to the other.
Yeah.
Just accept everything. And if you fail at it, then that's what you need to work on.
Well, you learned.
Yeah.
Right? It's not really a fail when you learn something from it.
Yeah. Life is a big old learning experience.
Hell yeah.
A bunch of failures.
Message.
Message.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you, big dog. Thank you for
Appreciate
being
you
here.
too, bro.
Oh yeah,
Thanks
man.
for having me.
Everybody, yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. Everybody, thanks again for joining us. Make sure you subscribe and all that good stuff, man. When you guys show love, lets us know that people want to actually watch this. Either way, we're probably gonna still be making them, but it does help. Subscribing and liking and all that good stuff. Once again, thank you to Palm Springs Podcast Studio.
Yes, sir.
Thank you to our sponsors, Fun Guy Soul. Make sure you go on both of their Instagrams and follow them and show some love. And we will see you guys on the next episode of the Flat Black Podcast. We're out. Peace.